Hey everybody, it's Cosmo here, and after last week's sort of weird-esque E3S bundle, we're back again with an almost back to normal with another bundle. This week, it's a special week, as in 2 days' time, it is the 25th, yes, that's right, I can't believe it is, the 25th anniversary of Sonic the Hedgehog. That's right, June 23rd, 1991 is the day that Sonic the Hedgehog graced our Sega Mega Drive, Sega Genesis, and a day that goes down in history is, it's amazing to think it's 25 years, because that means that I was almost, 8, 9 years old then, and that's kind of scary, even for me. So I will apologize in advance if I get a bit nostalgic, because this is my childhood. I mean, wow. You have to, Anyway, I'm gonna move straight on and get on with it, because it's gonna get. I'm just gonna get waffly, and I don't want to do that, especially in a review video. Now, I will get to the Neo Geo Encore bundle, but I'll get to that at the end. After all this, so straight away, pay $1 or more, or 70 pence, to get 4 Sonic games. First off, the absolute and total classic, that is Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, I will explain what this add-on business means in just a minute. As you can see, sort of based on this text down here, it basically explains that it's DLC for something called the Sega Mega Drive and Genesis Classics. Now, what they basically did about a month or two ago is they changed how you played the Sega Classics game. Basically, it was a whole sort of range of all the sort of Genesis or Mega Drive games that were on Steam, and originally you just basically clicked on play and it loaded it up. Now what they've done is they've added what's essentially a sort of virtual bedroom, where you actually get to look around in this bedroom and see what's going on and everything else like that. And in front of you is an old style TV, the old big block TVs, CRT ones or whatever you want to call them. And on one side of the room, you've got the console in front of you, the Sega Mega Drive or Sega Genesis, depending on your location. And on another side, they've got a bookshelf, or a shelf with the actual games that you own on Steam in there. So you can select them and plug them into the actual console and literally just play the game like you see on the TV in front of you. Quite a cool little effect, just for nostalgic reasons more than anything. But they also added a second rather cool feature, which allows you to play what are called ROM hacks. Now, to put it in a simplistic term, a ROM is basically the image of the game. So that cartridge you use to stick in your console will contain a ROM, or read-only memory, or whatever you call it. And what basically, in order to actually get the game onto PC, what they do is they sort of download that data. And it's quite small. It's only like a megabyte or two, especially with the older games, because that's all they could store on it. Now, a ROM hack basically changes the data in the actual game and allows you to do all manner of kinds of different things. And what they now allow you to do on Steam is you can basically go into the Steam workshop, get these ROM hacks, apply them to your game as sort of mods, and you get to play them as part of the actual system. So there's lots of different ones, especially for Sonic games. So you can play like Metal Sonic in Sonic the Hedgehog, or there's a complete what do they call it? There's a complete overhauls of the game. So for instance, they changed Sonic 2. They changed all the palettes, changed all the characters, changed it so there's all different levels in Sonic 2 or Sonic 3 or anything else like that. So it's quite clever. I think I saw one recently where they changed either Echo or Eco the Dolphin, and they changed it so you play as a whale, and sort of change the powers that you have, and change the levels and everything. So it's quite a clever little system. Considering how old the games are, ROM hacks are actually quite expertly well made, and these days, even to play them, it's quite cool to play. So it's quite a cool little feature that Sega, or whoever actually did it, I'm not sure if it was Sega themselves that did it, but quite a cool little feature that was added to Steam and for these games. So it's definitely worth a look at, especially if you have any interest in the Sonic the Hedgehog whatsoever. Anyway, back on topic. Sonic 1 is $3.99 on Steam at the moment. there's no point really giving you much about the reviews because at the moment they all say 100%. It's a classic game. It is the classic Sonic game, and it's well worth a play just for nostalgic reasons and out of anything. Sonic Adventure DX. Now I'll play the video, but it's not just the video for Sonic Adventure. I think it's the whole sort of Dreamcast collection that Sonic Adventure is part of, because it's part of like Crazy Taxi and other things. Sonic Adventure was the first ever Dreamcast game. Not the first ever Dreamcast game, the first ever Sonic Dreamcast game. I have to correct myself there. It's $5.99 on Steam. It's okay. Let's put it that way. It's probably the first sort of proper sort of 3D game, if you don't count Sonic's excursions on the Sega Saturn. It's a good game. It's got an interesting relative story, but it's kind of a reinvention of Sonic because it involves humans and all that kind of stuff like that. It's fairly well received, but sort of it's in the 70s on Steam. It's not the best Sonic game out there in terms of 3D games, but it's okay. You know, it has its fair share of problems. Sonic moving into 3D had a lot of issues, especially in terms of platforming, and falling off and everything else like that. So, and I won't even get to the sort of the fishing part with the cat. That's just horrendous. You know, it's one of the worst parts of the game. Whether that's actually in the the DX version, I don't know, because I only played the original on Dreamcast. So other than that, it's an okay game. It's got a fairly good plot, but it's a game that suffers a lot from sort of exploration problems, in that you have to sort of explore a lot and move around a lot to sort of find things. Sonic 3D Blast again is another one for your Sega Classics library. It's an isometric 3D game, not really a true 3D game. It's sort of Sega's attempt to bring Sonic forward a bit out of the two-dimensional side-scrolling platformer. It's again not too bad. It's fairly good. The actual reviews again are 100% because it's a classic Sonic game. It was $3.99 on Steam. It's not the best Sonic game. It's not necessarily the worst Sonic game, but I wouldn't necessarily say you should really play it. It's kind of Sonic loses a lot of the speed elements. You have to sort of run around finding different. I think you have to find 5 birds in order to move on to another section. And that. So it kind of changes the whole formula of Sonic. Yeah. Sonic CD now. Sonic CD did have a release actually on PC back with sort of, I think it was Windows 95, but it couldn't work nowadays because it used an old version of Direct Draw. Terrible things. But it was re-released and sort of I suppose in a way remastered in a way. It's currently $3.99 on Steam. The reviews are quite high, 90-ish on Steam. It's kind of set between sort of Sonic 1 and Sonic 2. It's what's going on? It's a good and it basically changes up the formula a bit more. It allows Sonic to time travel, so you can go back into the past and also into the future. I won't say too much about that because I don't want to ruin what little plot there is to it. But let's put it this way: it introduces characters such as Amy Rose, which doesn't really affect much in the Sonic universe, but also it introduces Sonic, Metal Sonic. So it's a good game in itself, and it's actually not a bad recreation, if that makes sense. It's not a ROM in itself. It's actually a PC, especially made game for PC. Definitely worth a good look at it's quite good fun. The music's good. I'll give it that. Give it that because it's all Sonic. It's all it's MP3, but it's from CD audio, so obviously quite a good game. Moving on to Sonic 4 now. We're moving on to the green tier. Sorry. So at the moment it's set for £6.32, which isn't bad for what you're getting, which is 4 more Sonic games. And first up, you got Sonic the Hedgehog 4. Now, Sonic the Hedgehog 4 is a bit difficult to sort of. Well, I'll explain the chronology to you. Basically, it went from Sonic 1, 2, 3, and then we went into Sega Saturn, Dreamcast, and then into all the other consoles. Sonic the Hedgehog 4 is basically a throwback to sort of after Sonic the Hedgehog 3. So it's supposed to sort of fill in the gap between sort of the old gen and the new gen Sonics. Unfortunately, it didn't do very well. It's got extremely mixed reviews on Steam, and the essential sort of feeling about it is that it's really boring. It's got lots of nice ideas in terms of what it's trying to be. The problem is that it's just not very well executed. If anything, a lot of people said that most of the fan-made Sonic games were a hell of a lot better than Sonic the Hedgehog 4, which is a shame, really. You know, it could have been so much more. And in actual fact, Episode 2 was a lot better, but it still suffered from the same sort of problems that Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 1 had. It's $5.99 on Steam. Its general reviews were around the 50% mark. Honestly, it's not really the best Sonic game out there, but it is what it is, you know. Now, Sonic Sega All-Stars Racing is kind of Sonic's answer to Mario Kart, and that's pretty much as clean and clear as you can make it. It's $4.99 on Steam, and beyond what I basically said, it's essentially exactly that. You basically play as various characters from Sonic the Hedgehog and Sega games, and you get to race around various tracks using different vehicles that have really nothing to do with Sonic in any real regard. You basically get to go around Sonic levels, and different levels to do with what is it called, House of the Dead. I think it was Samba de Amigo back in that trailer just there. So it's an okay kind of game. It's again fairly mediocre reviews. It was in the 50s in the recents on Steam, about 79% overall, and 65% on Metacritic. It's not the best racing game out there. The actual sequel to it was a lot better, but it's not a bad game. It's just, you know, Mario. A lot of people preferred Mario Kart. Let's be honest. You know, Mario trumps Sonic and a lot of things like this, and that's probably why Sonic went the way he did in terms of. Well, no, probably why Sega went the way they did eventually, because it just sort of collapsed in on themselves. A good game, definitely worth a good look at if you fancy that you like sort of novelty racing games. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is again another Sega classic. It's $3.99 on Steam, and again 100% in reviews. Depending on who you talk to, this is considered to be probably one of the best Sonic games. This was actually the first Sonic game I ever played. It's pretty much the only first game I ever played on my Sega Genesis, because I actually got it the Christmas it came out, as well as a brand new Sega Genesis first generation. So, you know, it's considered to be the best, if not one of the best 2D Sonic games. It's not Sonic Adventure games, sorry. Not much more I can say about that. It improves upon the original one. It introduces the ability for Supersonic and all that kind of stuff. So it's a big part of Sonic's history, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Can't say much more than that. Sonic Adventure 2 is again, sadly, the last ever sort of Sonic game that was released exclusively for a Sega console. This was, you know, this is the Dreamcast's sort of final Sonic game. Well, then it was, yeah, like I said, Sega's final Sonic game on its own console before sort of Dreamcast fell down completely, and Sega became a publisher rather than a actual sort of contender for the console wars. This is actually the PC version of it. It's actually pretty damn good. They've actually done a very good conversion from the Dreamcast version to PC. You do also get the Battle DLC, which is actually individually priced. So Sonic Adventure 2 is $5.99 on Steam, and it's $1.99 for the actual Battle DLC, which basically allows you to basically have a two-player sort of fighting, sort of competition with each other. There's racing, and there's shooting each other with driving around in certain machines. It is, depending on who you talk to, it's considered to be one of the best Sonic games there is out there, because of the sort of the epicness of the story, the introduction of Shadow the Hedgehog. It's an absolute classic in terms of Sonic. If you are into Sonic in any way or shape or form, I can recommend it. It does get a bit annoying as you get closer to sort of the more harder levels towards the end, but it's definitely highly recommended by me. It's actually 78% in the recents in Steam and 86% overall. So a lot of people like it. Now, more games coming soon. The only games that I can see that are not in this bundle are Sonic 3 and Knuckles, Sonic Spinball, and although it's rather tenuously linked, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. Now, I could be pleasantly surprised. Sorry. I'll have a quick drink. I could be pleasantly surprised and say that something else is coming, but overall, you've got pretty much all the big Sonic games in this bundle. So I wouldn't be. I'm not expecting much in terms of extra games coming. And that's not a bad thing at all. I mean, to be honest, you're getting the majority of the Sonic collection in this bundle. So moving straight on then to the blue tier, the $10 or more, in my case £7.05. Sonic Lost World. Sonic Lost World is basically sort of Sonic's answer to Mario Galaxy. It introduces a whole new load. That doesn't even make sense. A whole new range of characters that sort of supposedly Dr. Eggman sort of awakens or finds, and tries to use against Sonic. They're called they're basically known as the Deadly Six. And Sonic goes up against them as Eggman sort of realizes what he's gone and done and unleashed these deadly entities on the world. So Sonic goes up against them. And essentially it's the same as every other Sonic game, but it's like different sort of planets just hopping from place to place and moving around. As you sort of see from the video, it's moving around on different sort of I was about to say planes, but that's not really sort of. So there's different islands, different planets. It literally is like if you play Mario Galaxy and put Sonic in it, this is what you get. It's not an overall bad game, but it really didn't do very well on the Wii, and it's been converted and upgraded, ready for usage on PC. It's sadly not very well received either. It's got 48% recently on Steam and 69% overall. It's $19.99 in price. It's not a bad game. It's not terribly good, if anything. My kids play it and enjoy it, but then they like Sonic in general. So overall, it's fun to play for a little bit, but it gets quite annoying because they just basically try to mimic Mario Galaxy, but putting it in the sort of a Sonic edge to it. It's not horrible, but you can see what they're trying to do, and it's not very well executed, sadly. Sonic Generations is probably now again, it depends who you talk to. Is probably one of the best games in the most recent years to do with Sonic. It was actually released for the 20th anniversary of Sonic, which makes it about 5 years old. And essentially, it allows you to play the whole sort of history of Sonic, from all the way back to Green Hill Zone in Sonic 1 to pretty much the modern day, and incorporates different levels, different classic levels from Sonic. It also allows you to sort of play in two different sort of variations, sort of a younger Sonic where you're playing on a 2D plane, and a 3D Sonic where you sort of switch between a sort of 3D behind view to a sort of 3D side view, or more sort of a 2D, 2.5D side view, whatever you want to call the technicality of it. It's actually quite good fun, and it's, like I said, it's probably one of the best Sonic games that's come out recently. Not just for nostalgic reasons, but because it's actually well made. It's kind of solves a lot of the problems that 3D Sonics have, in that it's quite easy for Sonic to fall off platforms. It was quite easy for Sonic to miss completely whenever you made jumps. So it's a pretty good game on there. It's $19.99 on Steam, and you also get the Casino Nights DLC with it, which is about another £1. It's 99p. It's actually in the it's in the 90s on Steam, and it's 77% on Metacritic. So it's probably one of the highest non-classic Sonic games that there is at the moment. Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 2 is obviously the sort of the next part of Sonic 4, because they sort of when they sort of made it, Sonic 4 Episode 1 sort of left on a cliffhanger. Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 2 continues that on and reintroduces Metal Sonic. Apparently it uses a new engine or anything, because it actually took like good 2 or 3 years to come out after Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 1 came out, and it does make a lot of improvements over the first episode. It still suffers, like I said, with some of the boring elements of it. It's like they sort of lost a lot of imagination with Sonic in this sort of game. So sadly, it's again not really well received on Steam. It's in the 50s in the recents, 81% overall, but on Metacritic it's 54%. So again, it's not one of the best Sonic games, but give it a go. See what you think. You're not going to miss out. You're not going to sort of think that you've I completely backed myself into a wall there. What was I trying to say? You're not gonna necessarily feel that you missed out on anything if you don't play it, but it's good to give it a go. I don't know what I'm trying to say there. I'll move on. Sonic and All-Star Racing Transformed is the sequel to Sonic and All-Stars Racing, where they add a new sort of element to it, which allows you basically where your cars can basically change to aircraft and even boats. Essentially, it's continuing on from the original, but just adding new elements and new characters. It is actually far better received than the previous Sonic All-Star Racing car, because it's got a better engine. The cars handle better. Quite a lot of people actually enjoy it. I actually quite enjoy playing it, and although my kids aren't very good at driving games, they think it's quite funny to play. It's actually $14.99 on Steam, and you get 2 DLCs with it too. You get the Outrun and Ryu, the Metal Sonic and Outrun DLC, and the Ryu Hazuki DLC, which is $1.99 and 99p respectively. I actually haven't written down the scores from Steam for some reason. I seem to have missed that one, but I can say it's better than the first one. It's still pretty much the same sort of deal in that it's sort of Sonic's version of Mario Kart. And again, if you like novelty races, by all means give it a go. Now, finally, we do have a novelty t-shirt, which you can get for $35, or in my case, almost 25 quid. I admit I'm quite tempted by it. I mean, granted, I'm wearing a Mario t-shirt today, but I do like my t-shirt, so I will and ah about it whether or not I'm going to actually get this, pay that much for it, because it probably includes worldwide shipping, as it says. And at the end of the day, it is a t-shirt. I'm not going to go crazy with money in this terms. But overall, I can say that this bundle is pretty good in terms of what you're getting price-wise, and also what you're getting in terms of game-wise, because as you can pretty much tell, especially this tier, I mean, you're talking £20, £20, $9.99 for Sonic 4 Episode 2, and almost, well, let's call it £17 for the last few for Sonic All-Stars Racing and the DLCs. So overall, you're getting quite a good deal for. I mean, you're saving a good. Well, it says $167, so it's a good price for what it is. So I can heartily recommend this bundle if you like Sonic games, or want any of the Sonic games, or don't have any of the Sonic games. I have to admit, I own pretty much all of these games. I don't own some of the classics because I thought I'm not spending $3.99 on classic games that I've got access to for free, although the legality of which may be questionable. Although I do own the original cartridges, so that legality is covered, I think, in that terms of that. But overall, I'm quite impressed with this bundle. It's a lovely bundle considering how old Sonic is. It's kind of scary how old Sonic is, because, like I said, it means I'm old. But still, I digress. Now, I've actually talked for almost 25 minutes, so I'm going to quickly go to the Neo Geo Encore bundle. Now, this bundle basically is something sort of similar to the Sega Classics bundle. It is an Encore, and I'm not going to give you a full review of it because it would take quite a long time for me to go through each one, but also because you're not actually getting, all of them are not Steam keys, also technically PC games. What you're essentially getting is, like I mentioned before, you're getting ROM files and an emulator to play them. Now, you also get the ability, which if you look there and can believe it, you get the ability to literally play the game in your browser, because these games can be emulated in your browser, so you can play them in Firefox and you can play them in Chrome, which is quite a cool, nifty little thing. But you do get your own emulator to sort of play on your own on the PC or computer, as well as the original ROM files. Neo Geo, if you didn't know, it basically was a really expensive console that didn't have a huge amount of games on it compared to, say, Nintendo or Sega, but that was mainly because it allowed you to play games that were found in the arcades. So you'll see a lot of these games basically are ones that have limited lives, or make you feel that it'll get tougher as you get further on. Certainly games like Metal Slug, where you basically have about sort of 5 or 6 levels, and you literally find it as you get sort of closer towards the end, exceedingly hard not to die, because the idea was, obviously, they wanted you to put the money into the machine. I almost say quarters, then I have no idea, into the arcade machine to keep playing. So each one of these is quite what's the right sort of word? They're quite special in terms of their arcade games. They probably, if you know them well, you would have played them in the arcades or played them on a Neo Geo. I had a friend who had a Neo Geo, and we used to play a load of Metal Slug, but I can't remember which one of the games they are. Now, you do get some Steam keys for some of them. King of Fighters is one of them. The Metal Slug games are on Steam. 1, 2, 3, and X are on Steam. There was a 4 and a 5, but I don't think they're in this bundle. No, they're not. But you do get quite a few Steam. You do get a few Steam keys, but the rest of them are all emulated. And I'm not going to give you a general review other than, if you're interested in any of them, it's a good price for them. But it's going to be down to you to determine whether or not you actually want them. Some of them are very good classic games. King of Fighters, if you're into fighting games, definitely worth a good look at. I'm not into fighting games at all, but then at the same time, I bought this bundle when it first came out, and overall I was quite impressed with it. It's a good sort of throwback in history, as is the Sonic bundle. So that's my general sort of feeling on it, shall I say. Now, the only thing about this bundle is it's only for 72 hours, and it's already been almost a day's worth. So overall, you've only got about 3 days of it. So I think it's just to sort of make sure that there's 2 bundles running during this period. They might be in, after 3 days, another Encore bundle or something, but we'll wait and see what happens with that one. Anyhow, I've talked for almost half an hour. I'm going to finish there. Just a reminder that Humble Monthly is next week, next Friday, if memory serves. Yeah, it's in 9 days. I usually review this on the Saturday afterwards, but unfortunately I'm going to a wedding, and it is July 4th weekend, so you guys are probably going to be really busy anyway. But I will review this, in 2 weeks' time for me, actually, so the July 5th. At the same time, if you check out my Humble Monthly Bundle review video, there is a competition, not competition, that's the wrong word, giveaway. There's currently a giveaway for 3 games, which is my copy of Rocket League from this month's bundle, a copy of South Park: The Stick of Truth, and a copy of, it's gone out of my head, Shadows of Mordor, the Game of the Year edition. Everything you need to know is actually in that video, and yes, I know that's kind of me plugging you to go and watch that video if you're interested in the giveaway, but it is what it is, okay? So I do apologize for that, and I'm a nasty, nasty person, I know. As always, thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe for more stuff like this, and hopefully next week I will see you for the extension of Sonic's bundle and possibly a nice new bundle as well. Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, happy gaming.